On a Wednesday, as I mentioned, it's a pretty exciting time for UNLV football. New stadium, right? New coach, a lot of new players, a lot of new faces. And thank God, we're happy to announce that, and we announced it a few weeks back, that there is going to be football in the first game against Nevada Reno. What better person to have with us on the line than talk a little bit about that than UNLV's athletic director, Desiree Reed-Francois, who joins us right now on the line. Desiree, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
We're safe, right? We're safe. It's a crazy news cycle, that's for sure. But we're hanging in there. So, Desiree, I had a chance to see the new Allegiant Stadium. I went to the Raiders game last week and on Sunday. What a beautiful stadium, as I'm sure you've been there plenty of times. Tell me if you agree or disagree with me on this one. I was saying to myself, and I think I said this last time we had you on, you couldn't pick a worse time if there wasn't going to be a UNLV football season. Why? Because you got a new stadium, you got a new coach, you got a lot of great new talent. It's an exciting time, right? So you must have been very relieved when you learned that there is going to be football being played this year.
Relieved and full of joy. And man, Brian, I could not agree with you more. It is a stunning stadium. I would argue, and we can debate it, but I think it's the best stadium in the entire country.
I agree.
It is every seat in there. It's just a really good seat. The vantage, the technology, the air conditioning, the view of the strip. It's really a special place to be. And I'm sorry, you had a question, and then I just started thinking about the stadium.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Excited, but yes,
that's okay.
There is so much. It's joy, but it's also, we want to make sure that we're doing everything and we're being as safe as possible. And so we're doing all possible to make it a reality for fans to be able to experience Allegiant Stadium with us.
No question. So can you give us some information so the fans know how many fans are you actually going to be allowing in that stadium for the Nevada Reno game and games moving forward this year?
Well, right now we are working with the Southern Nevada Health District per Governor Sisolak's directive to have our plan approved, and they've been a wonderful partner in this. We've also been working with our epidemiologist, and we're very fortunate here on campus to have Brian Labus, who's an expert in this, and he's been hand in glove with us throughout this entire time. I think I spend more time on the phone with Brian Labus than I do talking with my husband. So 6,500 is the max number, and then you have to obviously back out. We're going to have students, and then there's other numbers we have to back out in terms of visiting teams, and then most importantly, or of equal importance, we want to make sure our student athletes have an opportunity to have their families at the game as well.
That's important. So I was saying this the other day to some friends of mine in the radio business. I said, you know what? If we weren't in the middle of this pandemic, Desiree, I think this game against Nevada Reno would probably have been the biggest crowd ever for a UNLV football game. And, and again, I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer. I think it's great that we're playing football and you're going to have 6,000, 6,500 fans in there. But I think that place would have had so many fans in there for this game, it would have been insane. And it's unfortunate, but do you agree with that, though? There's so much excitement around the program now. I think that place would have been jam-packed.
It certainly would have been a really exciting game for sure. And also, how cool is that? It's like Halloween week, and it's Nevada week, and so the stars are really aligning. But it would have been an incredible event, but you know what? It's still going to be very special. And if anything, we're even more appreciative now. I don't know about you, but this pandemic has definitely taught us the importance of gratitude and things that we used to just assume or take for granted. Now, I don't know. I'm really appreciative. So it's going to be really a special opportunity.
Desiree, even going to a restaurant, I appreciate now more than ever, but I couldn't agree with you more. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Desiree Reed-Francois, athletic director at UNLV. I would imagine you're concerned for the health and safety, Desiree, of your student athletes and, of course, the coaches and everyone involved. When you hear these stories of even NFL teams and Major League Baseball teams and NBA players that have tested positive and PGA golfers that are testing positive, is that a concern to you that you could be, and I hope I'm wrong on this one, but it could be a possibility that you might get some student athletes or members of your staff that contract the virus? How concerned are you about that?
I'm kind of a neurotic mess on that one. And that sounds horrible, but I'm really concerned, and I'm concerned for the safety of our fans as well. And we're going to do everything possible to mitigate the risk. Usually we like to start with the proposition of yes, pre-pandemic, but right now we're starting with the proposition of no. And it's like unless Brian Labus or unless our epidemiologist says yes, you can do it, then we start with no, and we're erring on the side of being as strict as possible because nothing is foolproof. But the best that we possibly can do for our students to keep them as safe as we can is trying to mitigate that risk.
No question. Yep.
Wearing the masks, using our best cases with social distancing. We were just talking about on the airplane, our first game is at San Diego State on October 24th. Mm-hmm. And what we've done is we've called, I've spoken with about 30 different athletic directors. Coach Arroyo has spoken with other football coaches, in addition to our experts here in Nevada. And we're asking, okay, what did you learn? What have you missed? What surprised you? And we have this massive list, but one thing that we didn't even think about was on the airplane, right? And eating meals on the airplane. And so we're not going to. We're going to eat before we get on the airplane, so that way we can keep our masks on throughout the flight. And but there's no foolproof method, and we're just going to do our absolute best and just be really, really determined and very disciplined to mitigate our risk.
No question. And by the way, you got a great guy in Brian Labus. He's been on this show before. I've known him for years. Very smart guy. You're working with the best. No question about that. All right, so let's move on now to UNLV basketball. We had Jenkins on the show last week. Great kid.
Oh, boy.
Great kid.
I bet you had a lot of fun on that one.
Oh, he's been on our show a number of times. So smart. And I told him one day he's going to steal my job because he'll be a great broadcaster. We talked a little NBA Finals, and he got me really excited, Desiree, as far as the upcoming UNLV basketball season. A lot of new faces. The fact that there's going to be basketball. Nobody knew, right? A couple months ago, we didn't even know if there was going to be a football or a college basketball season. So my understanding, November 25th.
Yes.
I don't think you guys know who you're playing yet. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But we're going to have college basketball. So that's a lot. That's something to look forward to as well. Talk to me a little bit about that.
I'm really excited. The Maui Invitational, I think we just saw our brackets today, so that's kind of fun. It's going to be a great level of competition. My son did remind me that North Carolina, I think we played North Carolina in the opening game.
Wow.
And North Carolina had the number 2 ranked recruiting class, so thank you, Jackson Francois, for the scouting report. And Andy Grossman, our sports information director and associate AD, also reminded me that North Carolina is not down 2 years in a row. They're still North Carolina.
Right.
But you know what? That just makes it even more exciting to be able to get out there and play against top-level competition.
Sure.
And I don't know about you, but I cannot wait to see David Jenkins shoot that ball.
He's incredible.
Because he tells me he's a great shooter, and I've seen him just in practice, and it's pretty impressive. But I'm really looking forward to just getting going and starting to play. It's that one thing that provides, not just one thing, but it provides hope. And that's, during this pandemic, that's what we've all been looking for, is a little bit of light.
No question. And speaking of David Jenkins, he's a true leader. He will be a true leader for this basketball team on and off the court. A really smart young man and a very gifted shooter. And I agree with you. I know you've been lucky enough to watch some practices. I haven't, but I've seen a lot of tape of him and just unbelievable. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So is it the same deal with the Thomas and Mack Center, Desiree, where you're just going to have a certain number of people? I don't know. Would it be 6,500? Have you guys talked about that? How many people do you, and I know this might be a tough question now, but do you assume would be in the Thomas and Mack Center allowed to be there for that first home game?
Well, right now we're still at the 10% level,
right?
And once we get our football plan approved, then we'll learn from that, and then we'll submit our plan for men's basketball and women's basketball as well. Mm-hmm. And then we'll work to again abide by that 10% directive. And so it's a start. And I know everybody loves to come to Thomas and Mack or Cox Pavilion for women's basketball, and wants to see our place rocking, and it will. But we're just going to go slow and steady.
Mm-hmm. But before we let you go, I don't know if you have this information in front of you. has there been student athletes? I would imagine there are some that have been tested positive. Do you have any numbers for us? I know you guys are doing a fantastic job there, but I would imagine there have been some cases. How do you deal with that? Where has it been coming from? And how do you move forward when you get a situation where you do have a student athlete that tests positive or a coach?
Absolutely. We have had some positives. We're under 2% positivity rate. And when we do, then we've got a full protocol that's led by our team doctor, Dr. Gall, and that protocol was prepared in conjunction with Dr. Labus. And I think we talked about it the last time I was on here, too. That was reviewed, and we worked in conjunction with the Mountain West Conference,
right.
NCAA, and our campus, and came up with the best protocol possible. And, it's going to happen. You asked a question about you see across the country other schools and professional teams that are having positives. We can have the best procedures in the entire country, but we're going to have a positive, and and we're prepared for it. And we'll treat it. We'll exercise contact tracing. We'll work in conjunction with our health officials. We'll make sure our student athletes are well taken care of. And then we'll keep moving forward, because that's what we have to do. Our whole country is having to adjust and advance, and we're prepared for that.
That's for sure.
I wish I could completely eliminate the risk. But right now, our best course of action is to try the best protocol for mitigation.
Well, I think what we've learned is anybody can get the virus. When our own president gets it, I think that goes to show you the virus does not discriminate against anybody. Anybody can get it regardless of whether you're a basketball player or football player or the president of the United States. Desiree, please keep up the great work. You guys are doing a good job. I cannot wait for UNLV Nevada Reno, first home game in Allegiant Stadium. And I always appreciate it when you take the time to come on, Desiree. We know you're very busy. Thank you so much.
Oh, gosh, thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you for that first game. Are you going to wear a costume?
Am I allowed to, as a member of the media and the press box? If Andy Grossman allows me to, I will absolutely. I mean, my face is scary enough, to be honest with you. But but if members of the media, as long as you wear a mask, brother, you can just come in and dress however you want to. You know what? I'd probably have a better chance of getting dates if I wore a mask 24/7. So, but anyway, Desiree, Tyler Bischoff, I always harass him about, or tease him. I shouldn't say harass, but I always tease him about getting engaged. Well, so okay. Well, mask or not, looks like I have some fodder for you now. Mask or not, I will. Well, what mask are you going to wear before we let you go? Do you have an idea? A mask that covers my nose and my mouth, and that is appropriate for fair enough. To prevent the spread of this disease. How about that? I think that is a very appropriate answer as the athletic director at UNLV. I promise you, it'll be red. That's a good idea. Well, Desiree, thank you so much for being here. Always appreciate your time, and look forward to seeing you in a few weeks. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. Have a good one. You take care. You too. Desiree. Desiree Reed-Francois, always a good interview. Always enjoy speaking with her, the athletic director at UNLV. She has a very difficult job, and I think I do mean that sincerely. I think the UNLV athletic department has done a very good job under these circumstances. I think the Mountain West Conference has made the correct decision. I do think it's safe to have college football as long as those protocols are met, and I have no reason to believe they're not going to be met. She's right. There's still going to be people that are going to get tested positive. They're young. They're resilient.